Best of R / Tales from Tech Support episode 61. Hey TFTS. I think I've only posted once before, but I just got off a chat with an end user right before going on lunch and I thought it was worthy of a share. My support type is via live chat only, with no phone option and no on-site support, from level 1 anyway. We are able to remote in and view / control screens. User chats in with mouse not working properly. No problem. We handle these quite often. Usually we refer to their management team to replace the mouse. The user claimed to have replaced the mouse and still has the same issue, so I remote in and immediately disable my own mouse so I don't interfere with what I'm investigating. The right click seems to be sporadically triggering, especially while they're trying to respond to me. I go in and reset the mouse settings back to default, and then it hits me. A lot of our users are on laptops. Light bulb. Me. Do you have 2 external monitors connected to the dock? User. Yes. Me. Is your laptop lid closed? User. Yes. Me. Please open your laptop lid and see if the issue still happens. User. Opens lid, can't get issue to happen again. Me. Do you normally have anything on top of the laptop while it's closed? User. Oh, like this part of my keyboard? Yes. Me. Actually laughs out loud because they can't hear me. Okay, no problem. The pressure from you using your keyboard is triggering the mouse buttons on the laptop. Try not to put any pressure on the laptop lid while it's closed and you should be all set. User. Oh, glad it's finally figured out, thanks. End of chat. Fassipum. To the user's credit, it can be convenient to use the laptop as a stand, not recommended of course. But it sounded like they only had part of their keyboard resting on the laptop, so I'm curious to know what kind of crazy setup they had at home. TL. Doctor. User puts keyboard on top of closed laptop and inadvertently keeps right-clicking the mouse from the built-in laptop buttons. Thank you. Next. Back in the late 1990s I was a field tech for a company owned by Big Blue and a major, local, retailer call comes in. It's 5 PM. Christmas season, so I call my boss who was okay with OT. We had a 2-line device called a Motorola portable terminal that we can look up parts and see any troubleshooting / errors the call center had taken from the customer. I look at the error and it is an issue with the token ring beacon. Basically somehow the store token ring network has a break in it. Google token ring, then chuckle. I called the store and asked for the person who called us to see if we can fix it over the phone, otherwise I won't be there for 2 hours. I was near Boston. I proceed to get yelled at that she has 2 master's degrees and get here now. I walk in 5 hours later to see users abandoning full carriages and walk behind the registers to quickly check before using the diagnostic floppy and see a register with a scanner plugged in the number 1 port meant to go to the network and correct it. I hear a beep, meaning the store is back up and 16 registers are downloading data to the back room, one at a time. I spoke to the store manager who said Ms. Master's degrees had been replacing a scanner but denied it when asked, and he is in the process of putting how much $$ it cost the store. Thank you. Next. This is my first post on Reddit and TFTS, so please be gentle. Sorry for any formatting errors as I'm writing this on my iPad. I'll also apologize for any grammatical or spelling errors that probably are present. I'm not an English major. TL. Doctor. Too much Windows got me in the habit of pressing Ctrl+Alt+Del before logging in. Did this on a Linux server running our primary database and caused 30 minutes of extra work for me, but fortunately no lasting effects on the server. The long version. Cost of this tale. $me equals me. $DBA equals longtime database admin, more senior than me, but not my boss. $coworker equals coworker not featured in this tale, but relevant to the story. I used to work for a medium-sized company, around 125 employees. $DBA was responsible for maintaining the overall health of the primary database server, running Red Hat Linux, and application communications to / from the database. $coworker was primarily responsible for maintaining the overall health of the Linux servers and some in-house applications, email, help desk ticket system, etc. $coworker had also helped me immensely in understanding administration of Linux environments as I helped him in understanding of networking and Windows environments. I was primarily responsible for maintaining the overall health of all network equipment and Windows servers. Sometimes I would do stuff with the Linux servers because of cool reasons. I regularly had to do after-hours maintenance on network equipment. Most of the time the maintenance involved network communication outages during agreed upon 2 4-hour maintenance windows, usually sometime between midnight and 4 AM. At this point I had been working for this company for 6-7 years and had a fairly in-depth understanding of how all the systems communicated with each other, which included how to do basic troubleshooting on the applications as well as an intermediate understanding of Linux administration. This particular after-hours maintenance was to update the software on our firewall, which I managed both through the GUI and CLI on a Windows workstation. As is customary for firewall updates, a reboot of the firewall was required for the updates to take effect, so I was happily working in our data center to perform this update, then test the application connections from the aforementioned Windows workstation in the data center. After successfully updating the firewall and verifying connectivity is re-established, made significantly easier because of the testing procedures I had written up a few years ago and kept updated as topology and systems changed. I called $DBA to let him know communication was restored and asked him to verify the primary database was healthy before restarting the applications. $DBA checks the database and everything is great, so $DBA and I restart all the applications. $DBA says all applications are doing the right things on the database without any errors and all is right in the world. $DBA asks me to look at something innocuous on the console of the database server, running Linux, so I plug in a mouse and keyboard. Having been working on a Windows workstation for the past 2 hours, I press Ctrl+Alt+Del without thinking to begin the login process and am greeted by the messages of daemons shutting down in preparation of a restart on the primary database server. My conversation with $DBA. This was a number of years ago, so these are not direct quotes. $me. $DBA. I just did a thing. Proceed to describe my stupidity while mentally praying for a clean database shutdown and restart. $DBA. Well, fuck me sideways. Didn't $coworker do the same thing a year or two ago? $me. Yeah he did. $DBA. Guess we get to make fun of you for that now too. $me. Yeah you do. At least we're still in the maintenance window. $DBA. Good point. Let me know when it's back online. I'll check the database health again and we'll restart the apps. Again. If there's a problem you may need to drive to $colocation space to pull an archive off the backup database server. Database server restarted and database came up just fine. Thankfully. $DBA and I happily restarted the applications and verified the applications were doing the right things without errors again. $DBA made light of my mistake again before I ended the call and got to drive home to sleep for a few hours before returning in the morning. I could have used that extra 30 minutes of sleep and I could have done without the added stress, especially at 2 AM. Totally guessing on the time, but it was definitely not normal working hours. Thank you. Next. User. A user. Not all that relevant since I only exchanged emails with him. Me of course. Boss, my boss. Recently promoted and eager to show his initiative. Awesome IT contact, short AITC, an awesome and helpful co-worker from the other IT company who was a massive help but got canned eventually. As a prelude, I was part of a third-party tech support group. Basically imagine it like this. Company number 1 wants tech support and hires tech support company number 1. TSC needs to expand its roster but doesn't want to hire new people in its own company, and hires a third party to provide IT workers US. Now onto the story. There is a lot of normal stuff you do in tech support. Most of it is about resetting passwords and I always have kept them to common sense when advising users when it comes to setting up a new password. However, there was this case where a user just couldn't set a password for themselves. Around the 6th or 7th try I just knew that there was something wrong and I gave him a temporary password, so that he could work for the day, while I would inquire into what the official company policy on password for the user is so that we could fix this once and for all. Me, writing a mail to AITC, hey, I have a user ID here where we tried to set the password but it kept telling the user the password was invalid. Could I get a copy of the official company password guidelines? AITC. Sure thing. Will take a bit as I have to find it myself. but I will get to you. Me, awesome. 3 days later I got a copy of the guidelines. 3 of the 4 following need to be fulfilled in a new password. Alphanumerical letters need to be used, AZ or AZ, numbers, special characters as $% and etc. All very sensible stuff that are advised for the users already as well. Then I read the next line. The password cannot contain any 2 following letters in the full name of the user. Hold on. So if your name is Michael Smith then you cannot use MICCHHAAEEL and SMMIIT in your password. Alright, that is good to know and would explain why the password didn't work for the user. So I send him a copy of the mail, highlight the last part of the password policy and he thanks me a day later as he can set his new password and everyone is happy. Now this is sadly not where the story ends. No. Because that would be on a high tone and everything would be good. I kept this email and shared it with my colleagues, and things worked fine for us. Not many read the email, and I wager a lot of them simply forgot about it. But I kept it in mind and whenever they had issues with setting a new password I'd inquire if the new password had contained 2 letters of the user's name. In 99% of the cases that was the case and advising them to not do that fixed it. Then along comes my boss. Recently promoted and eager to show off his abilities he decided to set up his own knowledge base. Me, with a search function, boss, it will be on the web and everyone will have access and he kept going on but I kinda tuned out. It didn't really sound that different to our current knowledge base, which still had entries that were out of date from 2005 in it, but if we were going to fill it, it at least would have current technical stuff in it that we verified. His knowledge base was a multi-page document on Google Drive. But hey, it might be good and have some worthwhile information from others. It wasn't and didn't, and I can just as well provide him with some of the information as others have shared some of their knowledge too. So I forward the entire email with the password policy to him. A few days later I approach him for an unrelated incident and ask if he could add the password policy as well, since he hasn't had done it so far. Boss, yes. I am on it. There is just so much to do. But I will get to it right now. Me, alright. And I get to watch as he opens the email and begins to type it off into the document. Me, you missed something. Boss, no, look, I got everything. Capital letters, numbers, special characters. Me, what about the last part where you are not allowed to use 2 letters of your name in the password? Boss, that's irrelevant. Me, no. It's really not. Boss, yeah, whatever. Look, I got other stuff to do as well right now. Me, I cannot stress how important that part of the password policy is. Boss, I got the important stuff. Me, not all of it. You just literally have to copy paste it from my mail. Boss, I will do it later. He never did. His knowledge base didn't pick up either, as we kept using the company knowledge base. And it is probably still sitting there on Google Drive, unfilled and badly formatted, with wrong information. Edits galore because I am used to a WYSIWYG editor. In other words, formatting. Thank you. Next. In the summer of my junior year in high school, I got a job at the call center for a small cable company. This was back in the mid-90s for reference's sake. The job was 1 part tech support, 2 parts service order management and 4 parts sales. Basically customers would call and either has a problem with their service and I would set up an appointment to check their connection or ship them a replacement receiver box. Sometimes the customers would be mad about their bill and demand we cancel the service thinking it would mean they would get free service for the rest of the month and we would offer them a new package deal or offer to renew their contract so they would get a further 3 months of service at their current rate. But every so often I got a call that caught me flat-footed. I am going to be honest and say that in hindsight I think this may have been a troll call but I can attest that this call was received and at the time I didn't think it was fake. My line rings. I flipped the switch to answer. Thank you for calling. Cable company name. This is me. How can I make your day better? I say. Even 25 years later I still remember that obnoxiously stupid intro line. There is a brief delay before the caller responded. Yeah, hello. This is Mr. So-and-so he says. I'm already typing in the information and looking up his account. I live at such and such address. He continues. No account info found. Probably a potential customer looking to get service at his house. I'm already mentally pulling up the info and looking at the pamphlets that list the service packages. I just came home and caught one of your installers in bed with my 16-year-old daughter. I'm going to kill him. I just thought you should know," he says. The next thing I hear is the click of the phone hanging up. I took what felt like 10 minutes to get my brain to process what I had just been told. In reality, it was probably 5 seconds, but you know how your time perception works at moments like that. All I could do was notify my supervisor and pass the call details to them. I never heard anything else about it, so no idea what became of it. Thank you. Next. Okay, cut to 2005 or so. Typical small business. 400-seat network and old factory buildings I'm briefly consulting at. Helpdesk guys have worked on this issue for a while. Can't figure out why an HP 4250 laser printer is having so many problems. Random fonts get bold in the middle of a page on some documents but not others. Entire lines drop out occasionally, again at random. Other times, everything is fine. Sometimes the printer will turn on, test pages print fine. Then an hour later the random weirdness starts again. They ask me to take a look with them. We try new toner/fuser. Zip, nada. We try swapping it for another identical 4250 printer. Same exact thing happens. Try a new HP DirectJet card. Same thing. Swap electrical cable, surge protector, network cabling. Same result. I decide to grab the printer after hours and bring it to our build lab. And of course, immediately the bloody thing is printing perfectly. Engage sleuth mode. Arrive at work next day with no good answer, but call up our facilities person on a hunch that something environmental on that floor is causing it. 30 minutes later we discover an electrical subpanel behind a wooden cover. Illegal, at the back of a closet that feeds power to all circuits on that floor. Idiots who ran the wiring used undersized ROMUX for the feed to that particular area. Slap an inductive amperage meter on the wire, turn on the copiers, PCs, etc. And as soon as the fuser warms up, the amperage is exceeding what the wire can handle and you can feel the wiring getting hot. Solution: run an extension cord 50 feet across the hallway to another wall plug until new circuit gets installed. Problem solved. TL. Dr. Proper Power can solve many an issue. Thank you. Next. I posted this in the comments of a thread over at r/sysadmin. Thought it might entertain you folks over here. Years ago working at my old MSP, we had a client that their entire network went down. Normally we'd drive out if we can't do anything remotely, but it wasn't an option at the time as it was too far and they would be closed by the time we arrived, and of course it can't wait until the morning. So off I went on the journey of troubleshooting a down network over the phone with someone who has very little technical prowess. Nothing is working. No internet. No servers. No ICMP response from our monitors. Nothing. I can't tell if it's a switch issue, router issue, DHCP server took a shit, or if it was something else. No one can accurately tell me if the switch and router is powered on as their closet was a hot mess. For over an hour, I've been on the phone with the same person the whole call trying to get them to reboot their machine, bring up a command prompt console, type ipconfig and to read me everything line by line so I can get some kind of info and direction. The reboot took 5 minutes. The next 55 minutes was spent explaining just how to get to command prompt. Start menu? Can't find command prompt in it. Search for it? Can't find it. I struck gold when she was able to open a run box with Win+R. I thought fucking finally progress. I then told her "Uakai in that box that just appeared. Type out for me these 3 letters. C, M, D. Of course it doesn't work. She must have heard the letters wrong. Let me try doing the military phonetic. That should clear it up. Okay, let's try it different. C as in Charlie, M as in Mike, D as in Delta. Still nothing. Holy fuck, shoot me. After the unholy hour, all of a sudden, all of my alerts went away. Servers are coming back online. I spizz up. I can reach the firewall. Her PC checks into our RMM. I asked her if everything is online. I can connect. What happened? Then I overheard in the background, looks like random person unplugged something back here to plug in a vacuum earlier. I asked what this plug on the floor was and someone said a computer. So I plugged it back in. Asked the IT guy if anything broke. Really? Thanks I guess. I immediately log into this user's PC for 2 reasons. 1. To verify everything is working. 2. To find out just what the fuck exactly she was held up on that she couldn't get me a fucking command prompt window for close to an hour. I click connect. My RMM window appears. The background and icons show up. My eyes dart to the bottom left. I see a run box. What's in it? Charlie Mike Delta.